I'm 83 years old. My name is Margaret Holloway, and I want to tell you something most people only understand once it's too late. Nursing homes are not what people think they are, and neither is the life that leads you here. I'm saying this quietly, not because it isn't painful, but because pain at my age doesn't shout anymore. It settles in. It becomes part of the room. I'm sitting in a chair that isn't mine, wearing clothes someone else washes, waiting for a day that looks exactly like yesterday. And I keep thinking about how carefully I lived and how unprepared that careful life left me. People assume ending up in a place like this means something went wrong, that someone failed, that a family didn't love enough, or plan enough, or try hard enough. That's not how it happens. It happens slowly, reasonably, politely. And by the time you realize what you've traded away, the door behind you has already closed. I wake up before sunrise most mornings, not because I want to, but because sleep doesn't belong to me anymore. A woman 2 rooms down calls out for her mother every night. She's 91. Her mother has been gone longer than I've been alive. No one tells her that anymore. The ceiling above my bed has a crack shaped like a crooked river. I trace it with my eyes while I wait for the day to officially begin. Breakfast comes at 7, whether you're hungry or not. Medication at 7:30, whether you feel sick or fine. Choice becomes a small thing here, smaller than people imagine. I used to choose everything. What time dinner was, what music played, which chair by the window was mine. Now I choose between oatmeal or eggs, between sitting in my room or sitting in a common area where no one really talks. This didn't feel like a loss at first. It felt like convenience, relief even. That's how these places get you. They don't arrive with cruelty. They arrive with solutions. I wasn't reckless in my life. I wasn't careless. That's important for you to understand. I married my husband Harold when I was 24. He was gentle, steady, proud of never missing a day of work. I admired that about him. We believed in responsibility, in showing up, in doing things the right way. We had 2 children, Andrew and Lisa, a boy who asked too many questions, and a girl who felt everything deeply. Our house was loud in the evenings and quiet early in the mornings. I worked part-time at the library while they were young, then full-time once they were older. Harold worked more hours than he should have. I told myself it was temporary. He told himself the same. We were building something. That's what we said. Looking back, I realize we were always building for later. Dinner was eaten quickly. Conversations happened in fragments. When the kids wanted to talk, we listened, but with one eye on the clock. I thought being physically present was enough. I didn't understand how much attention costs until I no longer had anyone asking for it. Andrew wanted me to help him write a letter for school once. I told him I'd do it after I finished cleaning up. I forgot. He never asked again. Lisa used to crawl into my bed when she couldn't sleep. I let her sometimes. Other times, I sent her back because I was tired and needed rest for work. None of these moments felt important. That's the cruel part. They felt ordinary, replaceable, like something that would come around again. Life doesn't repeat itself the way we think it does. The kids grew up. They moved out. Harold and I filled the quiet with routine. Morning coffee, evening television, weekends spent catching up on errands. I told myself this was stability. I told myself we'd earned the quiet. What I didn't realize was that silence, once it settles in, doesn't leave easily. Harold had a stroke when I was 67. He survived it, technically. But the man who came home from the hospital was not the man I had married. I became his caretaker without discussion. There was no question. That's what wives do. I learned to lift him, to help him dress, to speak slowly so he could follow. People told me I was strong. I smiled and accepted the compliment, because that's what you do when people don't see how tired you are. We had time then, endless hours together, and somehow we still didn't talk about the things that mattered. I assumed there would be a moment when the crisis passed and life softened again. I assumed wrong. Harold died one morning while I was making toast. I smelled it burning while the nurse checked his pulse. I remember thinking, very calmly, that I had spent decades preparing for a future that never arrived. Grief changes the shape of your days. The house felt too large, too aware of itself. Every object seemed to ask me what I planned to do now. The children came more often at first, then life pulled them back. I encouraged that. I told them I was fine. I meant it until I wasn't. My body began failing in small, humiliating ways. A missed step, a dropped plate, a night spent on the floor waiting for morning because I couldn't get up. Doctors spoke gently, carefully. They always do. They talked about safety, about support, about not wanting me to be alone. We visited a few facilities together. They were clean, cheerful. Everyone smiled the same careful smile. I told myself this was temporary, just until I got stronger. That's the lie most of us tell. I packed what fit in 2 suitcases. I left behind furniture I loved, photos I assumed I'd come back for, a life I thought I was stepping away from briefly. I didn't understand that you don't step back into a life once you leave it. Living here is not dramatic. That surprises people. There's no single moment where you realize you're invisible. It happens gradually. First, staff stop asking what you prefer. Then family stops calling as often. Then days pass without anyone saying your name out loud. You become quiet because there's no one left to interrupt you. Residents disappear. Some are moved. Some die. The dining room rearranges itself without comment. You learn not to get attached. Loneliness here isn't sadness, it's absence. It's realizing that if you vanished tomorrow, the schedule would continue uninterrupted. People think nursing homes are about dying. They're not. They're about waiting while life happens somewhere else. Waiting for visits, waiting for meals, waiting for your body to cooperate, waiting for the end without knowing when it will come. I've had a lot of time to think, too much time. I think about how often I chose responsibility over presence. How often I believed love could be assumed instead of shown. I think about my children when they were small enough to need me fully. Those moments are gone, completely. Not lost, finished. That's the part no one prepares you for. Some things don't come back, no matter how much you regret them. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of how quietly a life can slip past while you're busy being reasonable. If you're listening to this, I'm not here to give advice. I'm just telling you what I wish someone had told me. Later is fragile. Busyness is seductive. And presence is the first thing we trade away without noticing. You don't need to change everything. I didn't need to. I needed to stay longer in moments that felt small. If this meant something to you, carry it gently. Let it sit with you. As for me, my days are simple now. I watch the light move across the wall. I listen for footsteps that rarely stop at my door. I remember, this isn't a tragedy. It's just the outcome of a careful life lived slightly too fast. I'll wake up here tomorrow, and the day after that, until one day I won't, and that will be that.